Hello and welcome back to Jules Math Tools, where math is made easy. Session today, this is part 16 on working through our fraction questions involving PEMDAS. And if you are ready and as excited as I am, let's get started. So in our question today that we are solving, we're going to be working through this hopefully a little bit more quicker than we did in our other questions. Now, as always, remember that with PEMDAS, we have to solve our questions in their correct order, which means that I'm going to be working on my parentheses first. And before I do that, I'm also going to be including everything in my question that I won't be using in this step back into their correct form. So now our first step is to convert our fractions into their equivalent form. Remembering that when we are adding or subtracting fractions, we do not add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators. So our first step is to convert our fractions in the brackets to their equivalent form where both have the exact same denominator. And now we know that with finding the LCD of 4 and 8, the LCD that they have in common is going to be 8. So since my first fraction already has a denominator of 8, I will not be changing that fraction, but rather leaving it the same. But with my 4, I know that when 4 is multiplied to 2, that will give me a denominator of 8. And I will also multiply my 1 times 2, which will equal to 2. So now that my fractions are in the equivalent form, I'm going to add their numerators. So when 3 is added to 2, that will equal to 5, and our denominator of 8 would remain exactly the same. So now let's return everything else back to our question. So we're putting back our 1/2. We are writing back our division operation. And now subtracting our 5/12. So of course, the next operation that we will be working out will be our division, which tells us we need to keep, change, and flip. So we're going to be keeping our 1/2 exactly the same, changing our division to multiplication, and then we're going to flip or take the reciprocal of our second fraction. And now we're going to also simplify our fraction. So I'm going to be dividing my 2 by 2. And I'm going to divide 2 into 8 as well. So 2 will divide into itself once. 8 divided by 2 will equal to 4. And now we're going to perform our last step, which is to multiply. So 1 times 4 will equal to 4, and 1 times 5 will equal to 5. And now let's return everything else back to our question. I forgot to include my 5/12 here, so I'm going to keep that there so we don't have that gap in our question working. So we're returning our 5/12. And now for our final step, of course, you know that when we're subtracting and adding fractions, if the denominators are different, we must find our LCD. And in looking for an LCD for the numbers in our denominator, which is 5 and 12, we know that a common multiple for 5 and 12, or their lowest common multiple for 5 and 12, is going to be 60. So that means we're going to now convert our fractions to their equivalent form, where both fraction now has a denominator of 60. We know that when our 5 is multiplied by 12, that will give us 60. We will also multiply our 4 times 12, which will equal to 48. We know when 12 is multiplied by 5, that will equal to 60. And we would also multiply our 5 times 5, which will equal to 25. So now that our fraction has the exact same denominator and they are converted to their equivalent form, we're now going to perform our last step, which is to subtract. And when our 48 subtracts 25, we will have a difference of 23, and my denominator of 60 will remain exactly the same. And since 23 and 60 do not have any common factors, because 23 is a prime number, so that will be our answer in its simplest form. Now that we have calculated our fractions and it is in its lowest term, Remember, as always, to get some additional practice in, and we'll see you right here in the next session on Joe's Math Tools, where the aim is always to make math easy.